Yo, what is going on, everyone in the XRP community? Hope you guys are having yourselves a fantastic day today, as usual. We got an SEC bombshell thread with John Deaton. All right, so you guys obviously know about SEC versus Ripple. However, there is currently a case going on at the exact same time, which is SEC versus LBRY, which is another cryptocurrency platform that the SEC is attacking. And I believe LBRY has said they have spent like in the magnitude of millions of dollars in this case already. Quite hilarious. At the same time, the SEC said in a recent letter to one of the judges in the Ripple versus SEC lawsuit that they were lacking of resources and would like to scrunch down, certain information to 100 pages or less, because they said, quote, to conserve the court's resources. Yeah, they're basically saying to conserve their own resources because they're going after way too many people at the same time right now. They are genuinely, probably have a shortage of manpower at this point. So John Deaton today comes out with a bombshell thread, right? And it's a synopsis of the SEC Gov versus LBRY summary judgment transcript. So this is like full transcript, like in court with the lawyers and the judge talking. This is a very long Twitter thread. Let's go ahead and read through this whole thing. Let's get a little bit of extra zoom here so we don't strain the eyes a little bit. And by the way, LBRY has been fully supportive of Ripple versus SEC lawsuit. And I believe LBRY, they actually did have XRP on their platform. Okay. So as I said during Crypto Law US's live stream after watching the SEC versus LBRY summary judgment argument, below is my single biggest criticism and observation along with direct quotes from the hearing. So guys, it's going to be a long one. Grab your popcorn, coffee, beer, because I know it is Friday, but let's go ahead and read through this. So the judge asked the SEC's lawyer, do you concede that there is what I think LBRY is calling a consumptive use for LBC, which I assume is the native token for the LBRY platform? SEC lawyer, we do, Your Honor, not for the entire time of the offering. So this is where they try to go after it's not a security now, but it was treated like a security in the past, and that's how they try to get a quick $50 million payment, these bullies at the SEC. See, the reality is that, the real criminals aren't wearing ski masks. The real criminals are wearing suits here in the world, honestly. The court. When does something that has a consumptive use and that LBRY would say is a commodity shade into a security? SEC lawyer. Well, Your Honor, I would first say you don't start with the presumption that something is a commodity. You apply the Howey test first, which is an ancient test from 90 years ago. Kind of shocking that you still try to compare that to today's decentralized blockchain digital assets revolutionizing the world. I don't think the Howey test really applies there. I mean, the Howey test, I believe, was about a freaking orange farm, like an orange farm with shit tons of oranges. I don't know if they're trying to call that a security or something. Really weird stuff. But anyways, the SEC keeps trying to go after this argument of, it's not a security now, but, on this specific point 4 years ago, we do believe it was a security. It's like, how does that make any sense? They're trying to bully companies into multi-million-dollar settlements, and that's how the SEC makes money. It's a business. It's really a mafia, cartel. The court. I think it's undeniable that people are acquiring LBC for investment reasons. I think it's undeniable that people are acquiring LBC for consumptive reasons. How do I determine in a case where some investors are acquiring for consumptive and some are for investment? I mean, in reality, you could apply that to anything. You could acquire anything for a consumptive use and for investment use. Take, computer parts, for example, graphics cards and processors. You can buy them for consumptive use just for, general workloads and gaming, or you could buy a ton of them for investment use and start mining crypto with them. All right. It's the same thing with kind of a dumb example, but body armor. Maybe someone's buying body armor because they're an actual security guard at an actual company, right? Or maybe people are buying up tons of body armor, planning to flip it in the future when they, expect some sort of, civil unrest to happen. You could really take anything, pretty much anything that costs a lot of money, and you could say, consumptive and investment reasons. A car, for example. College kid could buy a Toyota Corolla for just genuine college use. Or you have a dealership that's trying to buy up 50 Toyota Corollas at a time to flip them in the future. I mean, really with anything that costs a lot of money, anything can really have consumptive and investment use. The court continues. How do I determine whether, in that case, it meets the first component of the third element of the Howey test? SEC lawyer, Your Honor, I agree it is a tricky problem and not fully addressed by the law. Well, it's like, dude, fucking make some regulation and fix it. But again, he's just the lawyer for the SEC, not the actual SEC or the government. But again, at the same time, I think if you're an SEC lawyer, you actually are a government official technically. So the SEC lawyer continues. And in fact, there's a third possibility, which is what if someone buys thousands of LBC, wanting to spend 10 and hold on to 990. The SEC lawyer then began to argue that the token purchaser's subjective intent is not important. The SEC lawyer goes on to say whether the token has utility or not is not important. The SEC lawyer said, I think it comes out and can be a reasonable purchaser expect to profit. It's not do they, it's can they. The court, I agree it's not the do they, I agree it's can. The court gave a hypothetical. If we could nail down that 75% of LBCs were used and bought for consumptive purposes, people realize that there are also promotion of this for investment, and 25% were buying because of investment, would that make it expectation of profits? The SEC lawyer responded by arguing the percentage of those buying for consumptive users versus those buying for investment doesn't really matter, he said. What's happening here is you can buy this thing, you can wait, LBRY can continue to develop its network, and it will be more. The SEC lawyer continues, therefore, whether or not I want to take part of it and spend it on my cat videos, it's still expectation of profits if I am a reasonable purchaser. Can a reasonable purchaser expect profits as opposed to what is a reasonable purchaser's intent? SEC lawyer continues, it doesn't matter that there's a utility because there was utility in the oranges and the whiskey casks and the chinchillas and all the other cases that come along in the Howey chain. The utility doesn't matter. The LBRY lawyer argued basically that the judge should adopt a principal standard. In other words, if LBC tokens were acquired principally for consumption and use it isn't a security, he gave an example of Naomi Brockwell as someone who built a business utilizing the platform. As you can see from the SEC lawyer's argument, the SEC believes utility is irrelevant. According to the SEC's argument, even if 100% of the purchasers intended to use the token, if it can be held that a reasonable purchaser could also expect price appreciation, it's a security. So basically, if you buy anything, excuse me, if you buy anything and expect price appreciation, it's a security. So you're telling me Toyota Corollas, firearms, graphics cards, you know, you're telling me all those are securities? I mean, guess what? People buy gold for the expectation of price appreciation. Is that a security as well? God, the SEC, man. Again, my extreme criticism regarding the LBRY lawyer's argument is that he did not give the judge a way to split the baby and fine for both the SEC and for LBRY. One of the judge's first questions to the SEC lawyer was, when does a commodity turn into a security? I was expecting the LBRY lawyer to flip that question and tell the judge that the relevant question is, when does a security transform into a commodity? Hinman's entire speech on Ethereum is about that very fact. Clayton agreed with the premise that a token can start out as a security but later be a commodity. But again, the SEC won't say that's, officially their statement. It's just, of course, the opinion, even though they're, directors of the SEC representing the SEC. Hester Pierce's entire safe harbor is premised on that belief. The judge even stated to the LBRY lawyer about when there were only 4 videos on the platform to review. But that day was when LBRY became live. There are today over 15 million videos to review and 1.3 million users per day. So I don't know. Is LBRY an exchange, guys? Let me know in the comments below. I've never used LBRY. I've never looked at their website. I have no clue what it is. I'm assuming it's something. It's a crypto platform. But apparently it's a video site. I don't see what the SEC's deal here if they're just uploading videos. Okay. I realize it may come off in poor taste to Monday morning quarterback and be overly critical of another lawyer. I'm not the best lawyer, and I know I've made my mistakes, but that was a glaring mistake and very concerning because of how the SEC will spin a potential win. So pretty much I think what John Deaton's doing here today is just kind of like essentially criticizing the LBRY lawyer that, could have done a better job, but at the same time showing how the SEC is trying to take that aim from a perfect corner to get the biggest advantage. I have to go back and review LBRY's written summary judgment to see if the transformation argument is sufficiently addressed. Maybe it is, and the LBRY lawyer believed he didn't need to raise it at oral argument. I hope that's the case because of all or nothing approach is bad. So we could just say at least the Ripple lawyers are doing much better in this case. They're putting up quite the fight. The other issue for me was that the fair notice defense wasn't argued at oral argument. The judge commented that it was well briefed, but he gave the parties an opportunity to highlight issues. Both sides declined. I would have argued the LBC token meets the standard articulated in Hinman's speech better than ETH does, and that LBRY.com relied on it. I know when I interviewed Jeremy Coffin on Crypto Law US TV, he said his team did a PowerPoint presentation on the speech and how LBC met it. The judge is likely to decide fair notices in the defense. The Ripple XRP case is in the Second Circuit and has the Upton case as precedent. LBRY doesn't. There's a reason that the SEC didn't move to strike and FND the LBRY as it did against Ripple. The SEC expects to win versus the FND and LBRY. Or, I don't know why, dude. In my head, I keep thinking LBRY in my head, but it's LBRY. All right. And then run to Judge Torres saying, look how it was struck down. The truth is the SEC is expecting a win versus LBRY, but it's not really about LBRY. It's about getting the LBC token declared a security to use against all of crypto. They're essentially trying to create a regulation monopoly here, I think. And the SEC is trying to be at the front end of it, getting as much settlement claims as possible. Think about it. Who is LBRY hurting? It raised a couple $100,000 with all the fraud and pump and dump schemes to go after. They go after little ass LBRY for a few $100,000. The SEC wants the win for what it means symbolically and politically. I've tried to get attention to this case long ago. If I wasn't in the XRP case, I would have bought LBC and asked to file an amicus brief. I support Jeremy Kaufman, LBRY.com, and hate to be negative, but Ripple should be ready to distinguish a ruling the SEC runs to show Judge Torres. All right, guys. That is it for today. Appreciate you guys tuning in the video. Do smash like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.